your meeting for custom live stream.
Is Jennifer Morgan supposed to be co-host? She's not.
Can you make her one?
I can't. I call her the host.
Okay.
Noel, can you give me permission to record?
Who's speaking?
Jennifer Morgan.
Jennifer, yeah,
Jennifer.
make her a co-host.
Okay, I went to the custom live stream and it did not take me to it. Okay, we are custom live stream. Okay, it did it a different way. Okay, taking care of Jennifer. Make
Me too,
co-host
please,
anyone
Noel.
else.
Me too, please co-host and record.
Okay. Is that Tom?
That's Tom.
Okay. Okay,
I think you made the wrong Jennifer co-host.
It only gives me a partial thing
You're
here.
right. You did.
Okay.
You did Jennifer Belt instead of Jennifer.
Jennifer Morgan. You need to make Jennifer Morgan co-host.
I'm looking for her name.
Oh, okay, wait.
Who is Watchers Talk?
Okay, we're live, so,
Who is Watchers Talk? Because I see Watchers Talk as a co-host.
okay, that was our previous guest.
Yeah.
You can get rid of
Okay.
Jennifer Belt.
So I'll start then. So
Okay, hold on a second. Hold on just 1 second.
okay, I start.
Okay, very
So-
good.
Welcome, everyone. This is Tex Albert. I'm here in Quebec, and I'm one of the co-stewards of the Convergence Room Chaos and Order, Deep Time Perspective. It's one of the co-creative members of the Global Village, including CCC Co-Creators Convergence, Kathy Mason's Mason's Marketing, and Humanity as Organism Thrives. Now, Chaos and Order Deep Time Perspective is being stewarded on behalf of Deep Time Network, and it's a collaboration between Hasina Patel in South Africa, and as I said, myself here in Quebec. Now, I will change screen here. So I'm going to play a little intro of the
Let me tell you about the lie we've been living in for centuries, millennia. They say peace through domination's justifiable while building up the arsenal. All the sages and wise men of the ages were guiding us to look within ourselves. But the fear so divisive and the lie so enticing, we keep spinning this hell. Shine your light, you are the future being told. Cultivate seeds we've sown. 99 days of peace through unity. 99 days of peace through unity. 99 days of peace through unity. 99 days of peace through unity.
Okay, thank you. So that's a little promo of the World Unity Week 2022 rather. Now, the theme is coming home together, and our room, Chaos and Order, Deep Time Perspective. We believe that the deep time perspective can give the right context for us to be home in the universe, I mean, on the planet, in the universe. Now, I'm going to call on Penny Andrews to give us a little presencing meditation as we start. Penny Andrews has had a lifelong interest in spirituality, creativity, and consciousness as paths to intuition and deeper knowing. This passion has led her to the study of forms of art as meditation at the University of Creation Spirituality. She is an ordained interfaith minister and retired hospital chaplain. Penny is a retreat leader and earth activist and has been involved with the work that reconnect the Earth Charter and Deep Time Studies. Currently, she guides a weekly work that reconnects meditation, offers a monthly webinar called Creation in Crisis, and serves on the board of directors of Creation Spirituality Communities. So Penny, we can spotlight Penny now. Welcome, Penny.
Thank you. Thank you, Tex. And welcome, everyone. It's wonderful to see your faces. So let's begin by centering in on our breath, by letting go anything that does not serve us in this moment. Relaxing those places in our body that holds tension and sending oxygen straight to those places with the message, relax, you're home. Your breath in this singular moment, one like none before, one that will never be again. Let us center into the voice of our hearts. This continual invitation is always with us. Each moment, each breath, each heartbeat is an invitation to center with the heartbeat of creation, the very pulse and rhythm of life itself. This is the awakening force of evolution dancing through our veins, the vitality of life, breathing us into our destined union with all that is, with the source of all breaths, the source of all heartbeats. It is love, it is wisdom, and true intimacy. Fred Lamott writes, "True oneness is the chaos of opposites. You can't escape from being whole. The golden sun creates your elegant shadow. Between darkness and light, the sun and the moon, the seer and the seen, is an ocean of blood that cannot quench the soul because it is the soul. If you're not full of contradictions, you've come to the wrong planet. Isn't the answer to every prayer the stillness between heartbeats? Angels stand in a very long line to get a human body and learn this truth. We don't just make our honey from flowers. We flavor it with weeds, thorns, pungent desire. Oneness is, you can't escape from being whole. Let us be of one heart, of one breath in this precious moment we share. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. That was very profound, very moving. Unfortunately, we have to move on. I will now call upon Hasina. Hasina Patel, who's in South Africa. Hasina is the co-steward with me as the of this room, Chaos and Order, Deep Time Perspective. Hasina is an author, 4 books published already, 2 in collaboration with her sister. Hasina will be making a presentation on Friday at 10 a.m. EDT called Journey of the Truth Walker. So you'll learn more about Hasina on Friday. So Hasina, if you can please introduce our guests for the opening. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. And it's so great to be here with all of you sharing the space with us. I especially want to welcome our Deep Time family, especially all the guests who are speaking here today. To start with, it is my honor to welcome Jennifer Morgan, president and founder of the Deep Time Network. Jennifer is an award-winning author, storyteller, and educator inspired by the work of Teilhard de Chardin, Maria Montessori, Thomas Berry, and Brian Swimme. Her universe story trilogy, Born with a Bang, From Lava to Life, and Mammals Who Morph, are used in classrooms around the world, particularly in Montessori schools as part of the cosmic education curriculum, and have received the Teacher's Choice Award, Nautilus semifinalist, highest ratings from AAAS, and endorsements from Jane Goodall, Neil deGrasse Tyson, astronaut Edgar Mitchell, Thomas Berry, Brian Swimme, and others. She's vice president of the American Teilhard Association. Her life inspiration is to foster emergence by helping to link a planetary nervous system of people immersed in this radical new understanding. Welcome, Jennifer. It's such an honor to have you here. And go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hasina. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited that, 2 graduates, certified graduates of our Deep Time leadership program organized this. And they only graduated last week. Boy, you don't waste any time.
Well, that's how you prepared us, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to jump right in because I know that everyone who's watching wants to know about your journey with Deep Time Network and just the whole term Deep Time. And to everyone who's watching, I just want to say that as we go along, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat so that you don't forget. We will have a Q&A at the end, but feel free to post them in the chat. So Jennifer, being immersed in this radical thinking, and that's what really struck me about, telling everyone about you. Deep Time is a radical kind of thinking. Tell us about what the Deep Time Network is and how it got started for you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Hasina. Well, Thomas Berry, the late Thomas Berry, who inspired so many of us who are studying a new cosmology, a deep time approach, a universe story approach, asked the question, what time is it? What time is it? Just think about that. What did he mean when he said that? What time is it? We think about what is our time? What is the time that Earth is in right now? What is the time that I personally am in right now? And what do these have to do with each other? So when we look at what's happening at the whole planet, we see a confluence of extraordinary things happening. For one, we're in the terminal phase of the Cenozoic era. That is the era that started with the extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. The Cenozoic is the age of the mammals. It's the time when mammals spread and effloresced, changed into so many different species. And now a huge extinction is underway, which is drawing to a close the Cenozoic era. What will be our next era? That's our time. This is our moment. And at the very same time, we are discovering so many things about the nature of the universe itself, about evolution, about biology, about quantum theory, and what all of these things have to say about the essential nature of things and the essential nature of what it means to be human and what it means to be an individual. So when we talk about a deep time perspective, we're thinking about all of these things. So it's drawing together the wisdom of science, the wisdom of indigenous traditions, the wisdom of classical religion, the wisdom of women. These are the 4 wisdom traditions that Thomas Berry identified so well. And in 1997, I had an experience that utterly changed my life. It was at Genesis Farm in New Jersey, Blairstown, New Jersey. And I took a program there in the universe story. And it was inspired by the work of Thomas Berry and Brian Swim and Fritjof Capra and so many other people. And it so lit me up. It totally lit the fire. And that fire has never, ever dimmed since then. And it so inspired me that I would go home. My son was 6 years old, and I would tell him what I was learning. And I thought, oh my God, he's only 6. For sure he's not going to understand. And I just mostly did it for myself to sort of hear myself talking about it. And then I soon realized, oh my God, he's actually understanding what I'm saying. And that's when I got the idea to write a story for children, a universe story trilogy for children. But before I did that, I wanted to really get the science. So I took classes at Princeton University. I live in Princeton. I worked with numerous scientists, including the ones you mentioned, Neil deGrasse Tyson. This was back before he was a rock star. Jane Goodall was a huge, huge help, and numerous other cosmologists and biologists at the university. So then from there, my books, after a lot of work and being rejected many, 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 many times, I found a publisher. And the books were published, and I started to do professional development programs for teachers. And that's when I went very deeply into the Montessori world because of a cosmic education curriculum that Maria Montessori started back in the 1940s. And then I, from there, moved through big history. Orla's here. She and I went through a lot of these things together, right, Orla? Orla and I met in the coffee shop in Princeton, and she's one of the founding board members of the Deep Time Network. And I think Brian is here too. He's another founding board member. But anyway, back to just say where this all came from. Then professional development for teachers, and then moving to big history, moving through Gaia systems theory, these different worlds, and realizing, oh my God, these people don't know about each other. I can't believe it. I mean, how could it be the Thomas Berry people had no clue that Maria Montessori came up with this curriculum, you know, decades before Thomas Berry was doing his writing. The Montessori people don't know about Thomas Berry. The big history, you know, nobody's knowing about each other. And so I said, we should do something. We should create a place where these people could put their profiles, interact with each other, and then we can all evolve together. Mm-hmm. Because, and of course, this is what, you know, World Unity Week is all about, is when we come together, we all evolve together. So we don't all have to reinvent the wheel. We can come with what we know, and then we go further. So with that, that's when, we founded the network back in 2013. We started with offering professional development, and now we're offering a leadership program, which I'll tell you more about after Sarvneet, Marianne, and Orla share. But that's it in a nutshell.
Oh, that is so fascinating. And I just find it fascinating how you brought everything together, all these different aspects of deep time thinking and thinkers. So that's fascinating. But quick question, before Genesis Farm, did you know about all these teachers that you learned about on Genesis Farm, in your class?
No, I did not. I did not.
And that's amazing
Yeah.
that you can be exposed to so much and it can just help the stream inside you to flourish. That's really amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Jennifer, I definitely want to ask you more about deep time, but I'd like to take that thread, how you said that, you didn't know about this, and I want to go into some of the other people, and some are certified deep time leaders, thanks to your program, and others are founding members. So I'd like to introduce Orla Hazra. So I know Orla is with us.
Yeah, she's here.
And I just want to, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, Orla, I just want to introduce you. I have known you for about a year, which is unreal because it's been such a pleasure getting to know you. And to those of you who don't know Orla, as a recovering Cartesian, Orla Hazra's license as a drug and alcohol counselor catalyzed many questions, taking her on a search resulting in an MA in spirituality and spiritual direction and a PhD in religious education. Orla's interests are now to heal our biopsychosocial spiritual trauma of separation through the fourfold wisdom conversation, as Jennifer talked about: science, women, religious, and indigenous people. And she does this as a founding board member and vice president of the Deep Time Network and her teaching and community renewal projects in India. Orla is currently writing a book about this revolutionary mythopoetic model of education and its importance for our flourishing future. She resides in Sarasota, Florida, with professional ties in India and Ireland. So firstly, Orla, welcome. And I love the fact that you have ties around the world, and this just shows that deep time is something that is so worldwide. It doesn't matter where you're from. So let me ask you, what does deep time mean in the field of education? What does it mean for you? Why are you so excited about it?
Well, it had to do with coming home together, because like Jennifer, before I had my studies, I was certainly bouncing around with no sense of shared story. And so it was very important for me to find home. And so then I began my search. And so as far as education goes, I was thinking about education as when we come into deep time, we recognize that deep time is actually the overall teacher. And even though there might be a sense of chaos going on, there's an underlying dance of the cosmos that is going on, and of that we learn about in deep time. And people are learning about it, but somehow, on deep time, we've managed to put it into a container and develop the professional development program. And I was just reflecting, because it was this time last year where I met you, Hasina, on this very platform, and so some other people as well, Viola, and that you found the idea of mythopoetic education, something there was a draw there. And it's wonderful to see so many are coming around now into this. And like Jennifer said, not only did people not know about each other, when they got together, they were suspicious of one another, and each of the lineages has a strength. And as we come together in our coming home together, I think we share all of our strengths in the rooms together. So that's what I just would like to say about the process of education being drawn out by the universe.
Yeah, I love that. And that's the whole purpose of education, right? To get an entirely new thread that we can take from all the existing threads. And it's the newest version, and you can't go back to what it was. The whole is so much bigger than the sum of the parts. Right. Thank you so much, Ola. I'd like to now introduce Sabmeet Conwell. And Sabmeet, I also got to know you this year through Deep Time Education, actually not so long ago. And you're an award-winning educator and a pioneer, teaching quantum physics and astronomy, a PhD holder in theoretical physics from the California Institute of Technology. And the one thing I loved reading about you is that your aptitude for explaining intricate scientific concepts in everyday language, it has just been something that so many people wanted. It's such a strength. And just to tell all of you listening that Sabmeet also is a longtime board member of the Monmouth Center for World Religions and Ethical Thought, where he helped initiate several interfaith projects, including the co-founding of an award-winning youth leadership program called Mosaic, mobilizing our students for action to build interfaith community. He's also assisting in the teaching of courses on the new cosmology, offered by the Deep Time Network organization. In August this year, he'll be teaching a course that's titled Quantum Wisdom, Essential Insights from a Revolutionary Science. So, Sabmeet, I'm actually highlighting everything that you do because there's so many different fields here connected with Deep Time. How do you find that Deep Time relates to you as a scientist, and how do you bring it to your everyday life and work?
Well, first of all, thank you, Hasina, for that very kind introduction. I'm delighted to be part of the session today. So let me give you a little bit of a background, I guess, on where I come from. I mean, I grew up in India, and I came here to get my PhD in physics and then decided to stay on. But one of the things that has been with me from very early age, maybe even 10 years old, if I can remember, is an intense curiosity. Curiosity not just about the world around me, but also curiosity about life and what makes us run and what's the right way to live and where do we all come from. These questions have been with me right from the beginning. Of course, that made me interested in religion, but when I was growing up, the religion that I saw being practiced by people and the questions that I asked them did not satisfy me. They did not really answer the questions that I had. And so I was moved to look for answers in science. That was the thing that, to me, seemed like the obvious place to go. And that was one of the things that moved me into a science career, which is, where I spent most of my life in. I now realize, looking back on my career, that, just like any other institution, science is also an institution that has an established way of doing things, a common way of looking at the universe, a cosmology, if you want to call it that. And I was naturally drawn into that because I was basically very much submerged in that community. And what I did not realize at that time is that I was being led into a way of thinking about the world that is undoubtedly very scientific, but that is not, that eliminates a whole other part of who we are and what we are. And the focus on science is so intense that it eliminates everything else that there is that one can look into. So for me, deep time really has been a coming home. I started out with these questions that I thought science was going to be able to answer. I found in a large part of my career that didn't seem to be true. And then towards the last decade or so of my life, I started to see that indeed my original suspicion was correct, and that there is a lot in science that we can partake that can actually throw light on these other questions. So the aspect of science that I have taken a long time finding for myself is the wisdom part. And what I'm so excited about right now is that there is so much wisdom that science has to offer, and that with my knowledge of science, I'm able to use that effectively as much as I can to bring that wisdom out. And that's kind of what my allurement and my work is right now. Thank you.
That's brilliant. And I think it's so wonderful to be able to tie science to questions and seeking, because so often it's almost as if that's the authoritative part and it doesn't move, and yet it's forever growing. So thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you, Asita.
And I am now going to call, Marianne Rowe. Marianne Rowe is a founding teacher of Monterey-based meditation studio. She's an emergent dialogue facilitator and a licensed marriage and family therapist in Pacific Grove, California. Her teaching, therapeutic work, and leadership focus on healing, transformation, and evolution through awareness and relationship. Her passions include inspiring reverence and reciprocity with the earth and the universe, spiritual activism, and conscious relationship with all beings. And Marianne, that's such a rich niche, everything brought together. How does your emergent dialogue and your healing and your therapy work, all of it, tie in with deep time? Give us a picture.
Thank you, Hasina. Oh, well, I'm just enjoying listening to everyone and learning new things about each one of these people that I've had contact with for a few years now. And emergent dialogue really pulls together, as does deep time perspective, pulls together things that have been mentioned already. As Jennifer mentioned, bringing in the collaboration of different perspectives, and Orla mentioning the creativity and bringing that process into learning, and Sarmeet about awakening to curiosity and bringing curiosity to all endeavors. And so emergent dialogue and both deep time, I feel they both are ways of coming home to the relational field in which we all exist. So emergent dialogue is a practice of opening up to a different way of being together. So it's through engaging deep presence and genuine curiosity, as well as radical opening with ourselves and each other, then we find ourselves consciously co-creating a relational field of generativity and connection, which is what the universe is all about. That's what the universe is doing, evolving into expanding complexity and connectivity. So in emergent dialogue, it's different because we're bringing our attention and our awareness through our energy and presence, not only to ourselves and the other persons or beings that are with us, but also, and most importantly, to the relational field, that dynamic space between us from which everything emerges, all of the new emerges. And so we are coming into this practice with an attitude of not knowing. So preconceived notions and belief structures, that's all put aside for a while so that we are opening to discovering what's here in this moment right now. And so in this way, then we're tapping into the biocapacity of life as it's creating a new whole from all of these parts. So, and then from that, then transformation occurs because we're opening ourselves to be changed. We're not coming in to tell what it is that we know, but we're opening to be changed. And when we bring that opening and curiosity into relationship with any being, whether it's human or otherwise, then we're transformed because there's impact. There's an exchange of energy that occurs. And so that then applies in the field of healing and therapy, because how our experience of circumstances actually is defined by the meaning that we give them. And so deep time perspective provides an expanded sense of meaning because it allows a shift from the personal and alone, a meaning of I'm alone and this is all about me, to a relational meaning and being part of a much larger field of creativity and possibility. So with a deep time perspective, we have the context that the circumstances of our lives, pleasant and unpleasant, that's being held very differently. It's being held in this largest context of we are part of a vast and ever-evolving universe. So events are seen not in isolation, but as part of an ever-emerging story in which we have agency by how we respond to the events, the meaning that we give them, and the actions that we follow them with. So I'll be on Friday at 1. I'll here in the Deep Time Convergence room. I'll be giving some more details about this process as I talk about relating to personal and global transformation through a deep time perspective.
Well, Marianne, I was just jotting some words down that were, I loved that energy, and that's something I learned from you, about how there's energy, and usually we associate seeking with wandering aimlessly, not having that direction. And I think that's what the Deep Time Network has given us. It's given us that direction to the words that you used: connection, coming home, and the whole empowerment piece, that we're part of the greater whole. So I'm going to go back to Jennifer because Jennifer, I know that people here would want to know more about your vision with the Deep Time Network and a bit about the Deep Time Leadership course, because it's so fascinating. So I'm going to give the floor to you, and everyone type your questions in the chat or during Q&A, we'll answer them.
Thank you so much, Hasina. And it's so inspiring to listen to, Sarmeet and Orla and Marianne, and just hear what this means in all these different ways. And we do want to have time for Q&A, so I'm going to be brief to just say that I think you've got a little bit of an idea about, the inspiration and the hopes and the yearning here. But just to say a little bit more about that, inside the leadership program, we have people doing projects. And so one of the great things about being inside of a community that meets over a long period of time is that it functions like an incubator. So there's so much synergy that happens when you bring people together inside of this sense of relationship to a larger reality that everyone shares. So I have been completely blown away. And I know that Steve, our lead teacher, who you'll hear from on Friday, has felt the same way. And Orla and pretty much everybody I talk to, when we see the creativity that has been happening inside the leadership program. So what is the leadership program? In fact, I'm going to just put this link into the chat box. Let's do that right now. There we go. So the leadership program is 9 months and it has 3 modules. The first module is an introduction to the new cosmology. So basically the new cosmology does what we've been talking about, which is pulling together the wisdom of science, indigenous, classical religions, women, which these are the wisdom traditions that Thomas Berry identified. The second module has to do with application. So that's how is this being applied in education, in therapy, in policy making, because it directly applies to how you actually think about policy in terms of its context, in terms of the embeddedness, the relationships, the interiority of the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, and then the action. Then the third module is the practicum. So that's where the projects are done. Though the projects start, pretty much earlier than the third module. And then throughout, we do meditations, we have practices. In fact, I'm very excited. We're just about to publish all the meditations that everybody came up with in this 9-month leadership program. Very exciting. Thanks to Judith Keller, who's been pulling all of that together. And so the way that Steve Martin, our lead teacher, likes to describe it as, first we encounter the universe, then we express it, then we embody it. So let's take encountering. Encountering is like, we think we know the universe. We do not. We do not. We don't know what we're part of. We do not know the amazing mystery that brought us into being and that we are part of and that we are. I mean, right, Hasina?
It's the thing is that a lot of times, like when I started, I thought, well, there's the universe and there's the earth and there's me, instead of I am an expression of the universe. I'm an expression of Mother Earth. And there's no way that you can separate that. It gives you a sense of your own history. I mean, when I learned that the hydrogen, the carbon, all these elements that are in the universe are in me, and it's something so basic, how could I not know that, right? But it just changes everything.
Absolutely. So well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are levels of knowing too, right? You know, there's like one level of knowing, and then it hits deeper, and then it heats deeper. And there's no bottom here. You know, it just keeps getting deeper. So encountering, like really having, you know, when, you know, what we talk about, this I thou relationship, this is religious language, but it's also like an I thou relationship with the universe, you know, coming into that sense of intimacy and understanding. And then expressing just like what you were saying, Hasina, how am I expressing it? How am I it? And then we move toward embodiment. So this is where all of our actions, we actually are the universe doing these things as us.
Yeah. And take it to an everyday place that it changes how you relate to things. You want to recycle. You want to not put poisons in your garden, because whatever you're doing to another creature is being done to you. You know, you're doing that to you, and it just changes everything. So that's how it relates. And if anyone wants to ask questions, please just raise your hand. You'll see under reactions on Zoom, there is a hand raising. But I do have a question that was asked of me, that what if there's someone who isn't, for instance, a therapist like Marianne, or a physicist like Sarmeet, an educator like Orla, who isn't like you, and they feel, would they be on the level where they could take the deep time leadership course and keep up with it and understand all the terminology?
Well, I'll let the others speak here too, but I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes, because it's so foundational. It's so fundamental. It's so fundamental to being alive, you know, that everyone can share in this. And I am constantly struck with the phrase I keep hearing people say, that this is coming home. I feel like I found my home. I hear this over and over again. You just heard it several times right within this, you know, less than an hour that we've been together. And this is what, you know, we hear all the time. I'm seeing that Annie's got a question.
Well, I have a little comment, and then I do have a question. So I work with 2 to 6-year-olds in Montessori, and while I was not a part of the Deep Time Leadership course that just ended, I was a part, thanks to Jennifer's invitation, of a spring short course that they did last year. And it inspired me to go back to my little ones and see what they might show me that they could get of this. And I'm just going to give you a couple of little examples that I just began to talk to them a little more deeply. I had already been talking about moon phases a bit to them, and we gather every morning in circle using some indigenous practices like drumming and rattling and all that. But I just want to give you a couple of things that children said at different points, just spontaneously out of our conversations. That I had a 5-year-old that repeated, and she just turned 5, repeatedly wanted to say, "The earth turns and it's morning." Like she just several days in a row needed to say that, to articulate that. And that wasn't exactly the way I articulated, you know, I explained the whole thing. Then another child said one day, couple of times, "We are a type of animal." And this was a much younger child, like just maybe turned 4. And then there was another child who was talking about the earth being our home. And he said, well, my house is my home. And it started this whole conversation around, well, everything in your house is made of wood and metal from the rocks and all of this. So it's just been absolutely delightful. And the children have absolutely shown me just what your 6-year-old son opened up for you, Jennifer, way back, that children have a real sense of this and are just, they love it. I can tell you every single morning, they just want to make comments and ask questions about these topics. But I do have a question that's very different from that. So I've heard Orla speak about the fourfold wisdom traditions from Thomas Berry. And the one that I'm the haziest about is about women's wisdom, simply because are we looking from like the feminine, like as Teilhard spoke of the feminine and that energy? Are we talking about, right brain capabilities, intuition and all of that? Could you bring some of that out, someone?
Orla, why don't you jump in on that first?
Yeah. Well, there's that whole essentialist trap, there's women are particularly and culturally not wanting to fall into that. But over the years, what I've come to understand, what perhaps he was talking about, the wisdom in particular was looking at women's issues, let's say the treatment of women's bodies and the treatment of the earth body is part from a sense of separation. And so women have been saddled with the brunt of trying to adapt, to climate change. And as being the cooks, as being the primary child rearers in many cultures. And so what do women bring to the table as far as wisdom in how to move forward? And I just think, I remember, going back to primary examples in school, and I remember we were learning, the periodic chart. And I remember I was starting my period. And if I had known that the iron was coming from the stars, I would have had a very, very deep and, women's wisdom about my own body in the field of it. So that would be what I've noticed as far as what women bring to the table in this conversation. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. And I see Tex, your hand is raised.
Yeah, thank you. That's been quite a start to this convergence room, chaos and order, deep time perspective. I think even if we've been in the deep, we have some floaters to use from what has been shared with us by Jennifer, Marianne, and Submit and Ola to help us fathom how can deep time perspective inspire us to collaborate for the common good. This question is actually the thematic question of the room through all the sessions that we'll have today, the next 3 hours. Submit is coming up in the next hour, and then we'll have Audrey. And then on Friday, we have another 4 hours starting at 10 a.m. with the closing session at 1 to 2 p.m. So you'll have the opportunity to meet with some of the other, interveners that we've had that Hasina has called upon. And I'm so glad that we had such a good start. And from myself, I'm very grateful to everyone, especially to Hasina, who's been such a great part of this collaboration. And behind the scene, Noel Marshall and Bob Warner of Co-Creators Convergence, they're the mainstay of this co-creative ongoing endeavor. So thank you very much.
Ted, can I just suggest if anybody is interested and wants to find out more about leadership or have us get in touch with you, you could just put your email in the chat box and then we'll get your emails. Or you can,
Yes.
Yeah,
or
everyone
just-
can put, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
you're saying. Everyone put your email in the chat box and we can get back to you, or you can also sign up at www.pieceofcreation.com. And we have quite a list building up there, and all the interveners will be able to have copy of the list.
Okay, and you'll see that the Deep Time Network, the courses, the link is in the chat, so you can take a look. It's fascinating. And just thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Such an honor. Thank you.
Maybe
Yeah.
before we sign off, I'd just like to have a nod for Nancy Roof, who is the founder and editor emeritus of the Cosmos Journal that I've been reading over the years. And she's been so inspiring to me. I mean, very contributed so profoundly to my own becoming, to what I am here, and improved through the Deep Time Leadership and Personal Empowerment course. So thank you, Nancy, for being here with us. It's very, how can I say, it's great to have you with us. Would you like, I don't know if Nancy, if you'd like to just say a little word, I mean, what's your impression? And then we'll probably round off this hour because we're on one stream.
If I can unmute, yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be with you all and to be in this entire program, which is so inspiring. I think we've been in kind of a pause in our evolutionary journey, and all of a sudden the fires are burning, and this is part of it. We're moving ahead. We can feel the momentum now of moving ahead after quite a long pause. So I thank everybody who participated, and I want to learn more about your journeys and about the teaching. It's really so needed in these times. And thank you, and blessings to all, and to Tex.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Now, Hasina, I've already made Noel Marshall the host of the session because she's controlling the one stream live streaming to one stream. And if you can, in the meantime, maybe make me a co-host, because I relinquished all my powers. I could even spotlight Nancy as she spoke. Anyway, thank you very much, Nancy. Wonderful.
Okay. Thank you.
We honored it.
Okay.
Do you want to say a word to wrap up, Jennifer?
I just want to say thank you. If there's only one word we can say, and if our gratitude, I just love that approach to life. And thank you, Tex. Thank you, Hasina. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we're still on custom live stream. In any case, it's going to end at 3:15. But we have a deep time leadership or deep time perspective running for the next 3 hours. The next speaker coming up is Submit. So it's, and then we'll go on to Yona Frenchhawk. And after Yona, we'll have Audrey. So we have a wonderful program, and I invite everyone who's here, if you can, to stay on. We'll have normally a little break, a 5-minute break. So Noel, do you want to pop up and do some technical magic?
Yeah, I can't seem to make Tex co-host. It's just not working.
No, I guess it will require a host, so it will have to be Noel, and I can't reclaim my power.
Hello. Are we still broadcasting there?
We are still broadcasting, yes, yes. It's still going to live stream.
Okay. Do you want me to stop that and take you to the other?
Yeah, you could do that, yes.
Okay, I'll do that.